Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Thursday morning. I've been gone for a while, and I'm back. Yeah, the health wasn't the best. You can tell the voice still doesn't sound great, but hey, it's good to be back. I did watch some Olympics. Like I said before, I'm mostly team guy, and I am really intrigued because U.S. basketball, the last two games figured to be the most important, right? Group play, they really only had one tough matchup, and even if you lose it, you get out of the group play, so those three aren't that big a deal. Quarterfinals, Brazil clearly overmatched. Now, Serbia, can they be blown out again? Or was the Joker just biding his time? He's going to play 40 minutes because he gave the U.S. an even game. They did all their damage when he was off the floor. Now, that is when Kevin Durant got red hot. So, we'll see. But at least this is intriguing. The final ought to be intriguing. And the U.S. has done much better in the Olympics than they did in the tune-up games, possibly because they knew those were tune-up games, and these are actually the Olympics. But there's much more going on than just basketball, and actually been a bunch of good track stories. People with local ties have been winning, but that's gone on in rugby. I guess beach volleyball has been a disappointment. And, of course, for a lot of the team sports, the biggest games, the semifinals and the finals, depending on the sport, are in front of us. Obviously, women's soccer is in the finals Saturday. So to wrap it all up, Sam Farnsworth in Paris, tracking one event after another, joined PK to talk all about it.
Sam, when we had you on last, we had an authentic French speaker. Well, guess who we have back right now? The floor is yours, Mr. French
Sam,
speaker.
bienvenue à 1280 Le Zone. On est bien content de discuter les Jeux Olympiques à Paris avec toi.
Oh, my goodness. That was amazing.
Now, you've been over there for a good while. You ought to be able to respond in kind.
I know, right? But unfortunately, my French has not improved that much since the last time we spoke. I have tried more, though. I took Riley's advice, and I've tried more to speak with the people, and I agree with him that they have received my attempts well and are patient and kind with me when I try. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
We can hit up on a bunch of events, but the events kind of speak for themselves. I wanted to ask you some questions about just life over there. How has it been for you as an American citizen now? You've been over there for a fair amount of time, probably longer than you would be if you went on vacation. Just how was the experience?
So, there was a lot of, unknown for me coming here for the very first time, not totally knowing what to expect. But I feel like Paris is it's kind of an easy city for an American tourist, right? Because there are so many people that do speak English. It just feels I feel comfortable here, I guess you could say, But there's been a lot of first time experiences for me too, just with food. People that I've met, some I've had very little time, but I've had a little bit of time to go and see some cool places that I otherwise never would have seen. But the work schedule, that's been the most difficult part of being an American here, is because the time zone difference. Obviously, I get up at about 4:30 every morning to do my 10 p.m. live hit, which begins at 6 a.m. Paris time. And then I try to sneak in a little nap before I head out to events and things. So that's been the most difficult part for me being an American out here. But overall, it's 2 thumbs up. I enjoy it. This is definitely a place I would love to come back to just enjoy some time.
That's what I was going to ask you, is that would you recommend it as a vacation spot?
Yeah, 100%. And so I've got a couple of other friends who've also spent time here in France on missions that they have recommended all these cool places that I should take time to go visit and see. I'm like, I just don't have the time for it. But after I've been here for as long as I've been now, like I said, I feel comfortable. Like there's some foreign countries you go to where you just maybe don't feel as comfortable, but I really do feel very, very comfortable here. And I would definitely come back. This is a vacation destination. My wife and kids are upset that they can't come. So maybe I'll have to make it up to them and come back someday.
When you're there, obviously you're working hard. You're covering local stories. Has there been a local story that maybe you hadn't planned on, or that has been a little bit unique in its approach?
Well, there's been a couple that I guess just off the top of your head. I wouldn't have guessed I would have covered as closely because we have some local international connections, right? When you think local connections, you're still thinking Team USA. But there's actually about 14 or 15, well, maybe not that many, maybe about 10 or 11 athletes connected to Utah that are on international Olympic teams. And so I was following 3x3 women's basketball through the bronze medal game between Canada and the United States, mostly, though, because the Canadian team has a couple of former Utes on the team, and Michelle Plouffe and Paige Crozon, who are both outstanding basketball players up there on the hill. And so following them through their experience, their heartbreak of losing that bronze medal game to the United States, that was certainly a unique experience for me because here I am thinking, I should be covering the United States winning the bronze, but really I'm covering the heartbreak of these former Utes who had fought so hard to get that close and to come up short. And then today, I'm at the women's 3-meter springboard diving championships. 2 Americans are in this event, but I'm following the diver from Sweden, Amelia Nilsson-Gerup, because she just finished her freshman season up at the U this last year. She was an All-American for the U. She was a 2-time Pac-12 champ in 2 different diving events this last spring. And now here she is in Paris representing Sweden in the Olympic Games. So those are kind of the stories that, I wouldn't say they're shocking, but they're the ones that I definitely didn't expect to cover until I knew I was coming out here to the Olympic Games and started to learn more about them.
Sam Farnsworth, you hear him on KSL Channel 5. He's live in France covering the Olympics. It's really cool that he's there live talking to us. It seems like you're right down the street. The connection's really good. That's awesome also. As far as what's going on in the country, have you been able to get a feel for what the locals and the natives are excited about?
Well, France is tearing it up. If you look at the medal count, they are absolutely doing an outstanding job here at the Olympic Games in medaling. I think they've already set their country record for the amount of medals that they've won. And you feel the energy. You definitely feel the excitement and vibe. For those listeners that remember the 2002 games, if I remember correctly, that was the United States' most successful winter games that they had. And you could feel the energy and the vibe of that success from those games. Well, it's similar here in France. I mean, people are talking about the judo competitors that have won gold out here. There's this guy, I wish I knew his name, but he's like a superstar out here. He's a 2-time gold medalist in these games for judo. The swimmer, Marchot, I think is his name, he has been an absolute rock star. Every event he goes to, people just stand and cheer for him if he's walking into a basketball game or whatever the other events are. The French, basketball team just defeated Canada yesterday in the quarterfinals of men's basketball, and that was a big time. So really, the people here are super excited about hosting the Olympics, but about the success that they're having. It's actually really fun to see, and you kind of catch that vibe and that energy from them.
Since you've been over there and you're immersed in this, right? You're up to your eyeballs in work, and your schedule is unlike probably anything you'll experience until you cover your next Olympics or whatever it might be. You're not going to be this crazy. I'm wondering, you personally, Sam, do you feel like you're isolated and you're so immersed in what you're doing? Like, for instance, over here, this is an election year in the U.S., right? And a VP for the one party was chosen and all that stuff, and the VP for the other party was chosen while you're over there. Is that something like, are you even aware of what's going on, or you're just so busy over there, it seems like the U.S. is a million miles away? I wonder how that is for you.
No, that's a great question. We were actually having this conversation last night with myself and Alex Cabrera and Tamara Vaipanua from KSL 5 TV, who are also out here covering the games. We were having this conversation at dinner about how, we're going to leave the Olympic Games and they're going to go back to covering the election or covering, whatever wildfire or whatever it is that's going on. We have been completely immersed in this, that it's hard to kind of remember that, since we've been out here, President Biden has stepped aside, and Kamala Harris is, all these things that are happening, even just Lauri Markkanen getting his contract extension. I felt like I was the last one to the party to find that out. I was like, Oh, that happened. Oh, yeah, wait, it is August 6th. It is time for that to happen. Okay. It really is. You get so immersed in these things. And not only that, but I'll take it to another level. You get immersed in the event that you're covering so much that you don't even know what happened across town at the Olympics. Like someone could ask me about, oh, hey, did you see the U.S. men's basketball team play or whatever, And I'll be like, oh, wait, was that today? I've been over here at X event covering these athletes, and that's all I've been focused on today. So it's been really interesting how as you go along with these games, that your focus becomes a little bit of a tunnel vision focus on what you're covering. But it really feels like the U.S. is miles away right now, for sure, as far as what's happening over there.
Any regrets that you weren't sent to Tahiti to cover surfing?
I jokingly but seriously requested twice, hey, you guys, you can just send me to Tahiti. I'll cover the surfing for you. I promise I'll lock it down. I'll have it all covered. But that's not what they wanted for me.
Yeah, I watched the surfing. I thought that was way cool.
Fun.
Yeah, for sure. I've always been amazed at what those guys can do, at those people can do at those size waves. How about something like the other day, the 100 meters, was just so scintillating, and it seemed like you had 10 guys all within a foot. Is there anything like that has really just captured the area?
Well, I mean, that event in and of itself kind of captured the area. So I was, my experience with the 100 meters out here, I was just at dinner that night. I was going to get dinner. Everyone out here eats late. Like the restaurants, they'll still be packed at like 9 and 10 p.m. But I'm just sitting there at a restaurant grabbing some dinner, and they have the Olympic Games on the TV. And the race is about to begin, and the server kind of comes out, and he just kind of like looks at everyone in the restaurant. He's like, hold on, everyone. Give us about 9.7 seconds here, and then I'll get back to serving. And it was funny because everyone in the restaurant even stood up out of their seats. They all kind of huddled around where this TV was just to watch that 100 meters. I mean, I think of when I was a kid, the 100 meters was it. That was like all I could think about when it came to the Olympic Games. The 100 meters is a big deal, right? The fastest person in the world.
Yeah.
That's the title you get for that. And everyone understands that. And so when that race happened, and then with how close it was, everyone was just glued to the TV waiting to find out what the times were, who won and everything. It was super fascinating to see it from that perspective.
So as far as food and all that, you're on your own?
A little bit. Look, so there is a media, I guess, for NBC employees, there's a media commissary, but it is like 45 minutes away from where we do most of our work. Oh. So there's just no time for us to get out there. So, yeah, for the most part, it's like, hey, I've got 5 minutes. Let me grab a sandwich out of this boulangerie as I go by or something, And that's basically been the gist of our meals out here.
Have you been able to plan your day and then have it come to pass the way you planned, or do you just have to be flexible throughout the whole day?
A little bit of both. There's been a couple of days where I feel like it's really gone according to how I had hoped and planned, and today is one of those days so far. Knock on some wood for me. But there have been also days, and it happened, I think, the first or second day I was here, where suddenly everything was changing, and I had to be super flexible, and I had to go have a different assignment, especially when the day of the announcement of the Salt Lake Games, we were just kind of on our toes waiting to be told what was next or what we needed to do next and how we were going to report on that story. But it's been a little bit of both, and it's been quite the experience. It'll be one I'll never forget, that's for sure. And but it's also going to be one that I think has been a positive experience.
How do you get around then, literally?
Yeah, so they've got a pretty decent shuttle system, that if you meet at the main press center, you can grab a shuttle to almost every event, not all, but almost any venue. And if I'm in a real hurry and I need to get somewhere that the shuttle won't get me to, I can grab a cab. And then they also gave us Metro cards, so we can jump on any, public transport. That just takes about twice as long. So if we're not in a real hurry, then we can just jump on the public transport and take that. But yeah, we've kind of figured out our way as we've gone along. I feel like by the time we're going to be coming home is when I'll finally feel like oh, I've got this
You've
down.
got this down. Yeah. I can understand that.
What's been the biggest? So you said you felt pretty comfortable. Maybe if there's a stereotype of France, or if there's something that you thought going over there that isn't true, or something that you didn't know that is true. Like what hit you?
I think so. For me, I think one of the stereotypes that at least I'd heard of before coming out was just hey, be careful. There are some rude people. French people aren't that polite to Americans. My own personal experience, it's been the complete opposite. I feel like everyone I've interacted with has been super kind, and like the shuttle drivers that I take at 4:30 in the morning every morning to get to my live shot. There's these 3 French guys that I've gotten to know, and I feel like, hey, we're buddies. Let's go hang out.
Right.
So that's been great, and the one that has definitely delivered has been the French, pastries and breads and cuisine has been on point. And yes, Riley, I finally had a religieuse.
Yes!
I got one. I got one yesterday.
Did you get coffee, chocolate, or vanilla? Which one did you get?
So okay, don't mock me here. I got both chocolate and the coffee flavor.
Yes!
So they were both. They had both.
Go
they had
for
both.
it,
So I'm like,
Sam.
I better get both. If they had vanilla, I would have got all 3.
Yeah.
But and yes, it was delicious. My reaction was number 1 was that it was delicious. My number 2 reaction was, that's basically just a cream puff on top of another bigger cream puff. but it's really good.
Right.
Uh,
So are we going to see a bigger Sam Farnsworth when you return?
Probably. I had one of my friends told me who's visited Europe a few times. He's like, man, you can go to Europe, you can eat whatever you want. You'll come home and we'll have lost weight because there's no preservatives. All the food's super healthy and fresh. And I think that is true. The food, I think most of the food I'm eating out here is super healthy and fresh. But I've eaten so much, carbohydrates and sugar. There's no way I lost weight out here. I'm just saying.
Right. Well, what you did, Sam, is you confirmed for me that French people are a lot like PK. Really crusty. They have a reputation for being crusty. And then you get to know them, and they're actually nice to you, but they don't want anybody to know that.
It's just a big secret, right?
Right.
Is there a bunch of celebrity gawking? Because as I watch the Olympics, they always show whoever's there.
Mm-hmm. Everybody out here is trying to find Snoop Dogg, right? Everyone's trying to catch a glimpse of him. The pin trading is a big deal at the Olympic Games, and apparently there's this really rare Snoop Dogg pin that everyone's trying to find. But yeah, Snoop is by far the celebrity that I even hear international media people talking about where he's at or what venue he was at yesterday, and if they will be able to run into him today. I would say he's celebrity number 1 out here.
Amazing.
Sam doesn't gawk because he is a celebrity.
Oh, he is.
He's like, oh yeah, I had dinner with Snoop Dogg.
Are you going to be? I don't know what the right word is. Sad when it's over because you're probably on a big time adrenaline rush going on there.
Oh yeah, 100. I mean, you get it when you cover, even just when you're approaching a single deadline for the day, right? The adrenaline that comes with that. As a member of the media, you get home at the end of the day. It's hard to wind down sometimes and to relax. I think that's one reason why a lot of folks in the media are just such night owls, right? It is hard to wind. And so now I'm just times that by 3 weeks, right? I think there will be a little bit of there'll be an excitement to go home, to get back to family, get back to life, and to relax a little. But I think there will be a little bit of a withdrawal, a little bit of the letdown from covering this just nonstop coverage of that adrenaline rush. Yeah, for sure. I think there's going to be a little bit of I'll feel kind of miss it.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. Well, have fun the rest of the time, and we'll talk to you when you get back, and we'll watch all your stuff on Channel 5.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
There is Sam Farnsworth in Paris. All right, when we come back, Riley Jensen was good enough to fill in while I was gone, and he and PK talked about the Lauri Markkanen extension, and now it's done, and it's a massive pile of money. 5 years. 1, he gets the boost, and then the next 4 are all brand new. But he gets a raise the first year, $24 million. That's not bad. They had to spend it. They were more than $23 million below the salary cap floor. So they give it to Lauri. All right, that's coming up next. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. It wasn't a surprise, but it's never done until it's done. And now it's done. Lauri Markkanen gets his extension. He waits to sign it. He can't be traded until after next season, so he's guaranteed a full year in Utah. After that, we'll see how he plays, and we'll see what the offers are, because it's Danny Ainge, and you never say never. But Lauri's locked in here for 1 year. PK and Riley Jensen talking about it, with Riley good enough to fill in while I was out trying to get healthy. Here are Riley and PK on Lauri Markkanen.
Well, normally we catch you up to date on what you may have missed, and maybe you've missed this too. I knew it was going to happen, but it's now official. Lauri Markkanen is signing a 5-year, $238 million renegotiation and extension to stay with the Jazz. Quote from the ESPN story, they've all showed their belief in me, from the ownership to the front office to Will. Markkanen told ESPN, it's a comfortable environment and those guys' resumes speak for themselves. I trust in the organization to help grow me as a person and a player, to build our team, and I'm ready to take on the challenge. I think this is good news. I just don't see where you give away all-stars. You trade them away. I mean, they did on the rebuild, and they got what they got, and now why trade this guy away? This guy, you've made your rebuild. Well, you got to have some players along the way. You can't just have draft picks from now until 2030.
Right.
So get him. And he wants to be here. DJ and I have talked about this for years. So these American dudes, they don't necessarily seem to want to be here. But the foreign guys are thousands of miles away from home. And this area, I've never been to Finland, but I'd imagine might look somewhat the same. The weather in the winter.
It's probably nicer here.
It's nicer here, you would think,
in the winter,
because it's higher up, I think,
and it doesn't get as dark as fast.
It absolutely is better weather here winter-wise.
Right, but I mean, he's used to winter weather, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you're right. He likes those quote unquote northerly climes.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be South Beach.
He's also a family guy, and he's
a family guy.
He's got 2 young children. And
he loves his wife.
Apparently enjoys being here in Utah.
He loves his kids.
But so did Joe Ingles.
Yeah, but they didn't want him. He loved it here, too. And that's another foreign guy. Those guys are thousands of miles from home.
Joe came on after he was traded away, and he made it very clear he would have rather stuck around.
Yeah, but I mean, they made no problem with the move that they made. But our point that we've been making is foreign guys, they don't seem to clamor for New York and Miami and the Lakers, right? You got Antetokounmpo re-upped in Milwaukee. Our guy Jokic is fine in Denver. What's the difference to these guys? They're so far from home. Markkanen here is in a good situation. He feels it's debatable whether he is or not. I mean, there's no guarantee that this rebuild is going to be on his timeline. So in 2 and 3 years, when he's pushing 30 years old, that they're going to be contending for home court in the Western Conference playoffs. No way that's a guarantee, right? We don't know that. Who's to say? That they may still be struggling from that standpoint. But he's got the faith, and he wants to be here. So get him under contract. You know you got him. And if you should want to trade him now with this thing here, the reason why he signed when he did is so they can't trade him this year so he can control his own fate, and we'll see down the line. But I don't think he's a player, and I think we all agree that you can't exclusively build around individually, but he can be an important piece. He can be part of the rebuild along with others that you build around. And now I think him being here can also help them attract other players, because they know this guy's a really good player. He's going to get better. I don't think he's tapped out at all. And so he can get better or topped out. And so from that perspective, you can use that as you go. And we're talking about these 6 draft picks. And where he says, look at their resumes, I think that's what he's talking about. Look at Ainge's resume. He's the guy who traded down to draft Jason Tatum, when in retrospect, everybody should have been trading up to draft Jason Tatum, right? And he recognized that. There's no doubt in my mind that Ainge has an eye for talent. I compare Ainge to Whittingham. Whittingham can take a 17-year-old and tell you what he'll be at 21. And it's probably, in a lot of cases, a position change. And he can still tell you, and then it's come to pass. We've seen it, the countless examples that have now gone on to the NFL, changed positions, whatever it might be, or even if they kept the same position. He sees something in people at young ages. I think Ainge can do that too in his respective sport. So I got to believe the point I'm making is that of the 6 guys that they've drafted the last 2 years, at least 2 of them will be players. I got to believe that. The guy's got a history, right? Can we argue that?
No, I don't think you can argue that. And I think the Jazz, I think this is a great move because whether he's the number 2, the number 3, or even the 4 guy.
Oh, if he's your 4th option, you're really
good, right?
You're a
and
superstar team.
So no matter how you look at it, this is one of the pieces.
Yes.
And at least
and they got a piece now.
And yeah, they have one of the pieces that they can start building the picture around now.
Right. Yeah, you can't just have potential. Who was it? Somebody was saying, I think it was, I was listening to my guy, Dillingham down at ASU. Potential leads to losses. I want players. I don't just want potential. I want players. And you need guys. This guy is a player. Now, he's locked up, good to go, and hopefully for him, he keeps his health, and away he goes.
I think the point was brought up on the show yesterday that if he does sign, it does seem like an enormous contract right now because you're going, God, this is the biggest contract ever in the history of the Utah Jazz. But with the salary cap going up and some different stories, this is going to look like a really, really good deal in 3 years.
That's the hope, and I don't see why it doesn't.
I mean, assuming he continues to progress,
which he will,
and doesn't get hurt.
Right, yeah, everyone's health is an issue.
That's all. But no matter what you do with a contract, like somebody's health is you don't know whether someone's going to get hurt or not.
Right. And he's getting $220 million in new money. Okay, the idea that it's the richest contract, it's like when we were talking about Jordan Love. He's the highest paid. Well, he's the highest paid until the next real good quarterback comes available with his contract, and that guy will be the highest paid, and so forth and so on. That's the way it works. So,
I mean, Steve Young was the highest paid contract ever in 1995, and it was like $5 million a year.
I know.
And now it's $50 million a year.
Yeah, it sounds so silly when we think about it. Yeah.
Or when he signed his one contract with the USFL for like $1 million.
That was outrageous.
It was outrageous. Yeah. And now it's like the lowest guy in the NFL makes $1 million a year.
So the money wise, I'm over that. They've got the capologists to fit everything in, but I think this was the right move. I just didn't want to see them. And for what they were saying, man, Shams was reporting that Golden State was going to give first, seconds, pick swaps, and Moses Moody? No way. No, that's not near enough for a player of Markkanen's caliber. That conversation should have been about 30 seconds.
That's big market snobbery thinking, hey, they'll take this from us.
No, forget that.
And Danny Ainge said, yeah, bye.
Yeah, I think that would be, he doesn't even have to go check with ownership on that one. He's like, no way. No, that would be 100% rejection. So they didn't get what they wanted. And in return for not getting what you want, you've got a really good player. Top 20, top 25, maybe with the potential as other guys age out to be better. I mean, you don't find 7-footers with that kind of skill level. I don't think so. He was a player that I identified early on because I heard about it, because the U thought they were going to get him because of the Finnish connection there with Hanno Metala.
Yeah.
And let's just say Arizona came in. You can figure it out. Now that's not.
They used just some NIL money.
I don't know what they used, but all I know is Utah people at a very high level told me this to my face. So, I mean, this stuff's been going on for a good long while. And he goes to Arizona. Now, he's only there the one season. I don't know what difference it could have made. Just you want good players, and that'll be interesting to see with BYU how they do if they really have a couple of guys who will only be there for a season do you really cash in on how good they will become, as opposed to a kid like Fredette? You cashed in on what he became big time because he was there for 4 years. So I don't know that that's going to be the case with BYU. We'll see how it develops. You still want those guys. But, I mean, the point I'm making is I've heard about Mark and I've known about him for many, many years, and I always thought he was an outstanding player. He went like 7th in the draft. Took him a little bit, but he's found his home, and now he's gonna be a really good player on a team that we hope develops. And I believe that at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 of these draft picks that they've had the last couple years can be vital players and play significant roles when this team is a playoff team. And then after you make the playoffs, you want to obviously have success in there going forward. So there's just a few steps they've got to get to, and obviously getting to the playoffs will be one, and I think he'll be on that team at that time.
Yeah,
all right.
I don't think there's any question.
There you go.
He's a fun player to watch.
All right, there are PK and Riley talking Lauri Markkanen, and I'm sure we'll have more on that coming up, man. $238 million. That is quite the pile of money. Holy cow. All right, when we come back, let's switch to college football, shall we? We'll get the college football going. Kalani Sitake, BYU football coach, coming up next. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. The countdown is on to college football. Can't wait. Have to wait. Still have 3 weeks to go. All right, fine. However, Kalani Sitake meeting with the media. Here is Kalani.
Another part of camp is doing the picture day and the team picture and everything, position group pictures, and so we're excited. We're at this point now, but had some really good work yesterday. You guys weren't able to see any of it, but we went live on a good portion of the practice. I would say the offense got the better of the day. I know they've been back and forth, but we're able to do some situational football, but for the first time in camp, been really just doing drives and that. So looking forward to doing that a little bit more tomorrow, and then having a full scrimmage on Saturday. So the guys look good and they're physical, and it was a good day for us, but looking forward to getting some more stuff in. And I think in terms of install, we're pretty much almost there. So now it's just play ball and let the guys compete and try to figure out who's going to be our guys that start the game off in the starting 11.
When you say that the offense got the better end of yesterday, which quarterback was leading the offense to success?
All of them. Yeah, I mean, all 4 quarterbacks got reps, but Gary scored touchdowns. So did Jake, and McKay came in and threw another deep one to, I think, Ty West again. And so, Trayson did some good things. So I just say overall, it's like the offense got the momentum and they just kept it going, and the defense weren't able to stop it. But we've seen a lot of back and forth. It's going to be interesting, the build up to the scrimmage on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing these guys get after it and play a game-like situation. And the scrimmage is going to be probably the most like a game than anything else. So
when you say all 4 quarterbacks, did you give first-team reps to all 4?
No, give first-team reps to the 2.
To Retzlaff and Bohannon?
Mm-hmm. Then we had a mixture of 2s and 3s for the other 2.
What does Bohannon bring to Bohannon's past experience being in the Big 12 and everything? What has that done for the quarterback room, just having that experience?
Well, I think this experience is one thing, but he's got he's feeling healthy for the first time in a long time, and he's throwing the ball way better with more confidence than he has before. So he and Jake, they can. I mean, all the quarterbacks can run, so that's going to be a good part of our offense. But more importantly, that they can escape and create time and extend plays. And so I've seen all 4 of them do that. And Gary just happens to have the most experience out of all of them, and the most experience in this conference.
Break down what you're seeing from the trenches a week into camp.
Yeah, TJ's doing a great job with the O-line, and I see that D-line's doing some really good things. But it's the competition makes you better. So eventually you're going to get sick of getting pushed around. So D-line would hunker down and play with some good technique. And we have Sione and Kelly coaching those guys, and there's other guys that we have on our staff that are there that help out with the front, and so they've been able to respond. It's been the point where like guys will get the better, like the offensive line will do better, and then D-line will show up the next day. We'd like to see it. We'd like to see more competition from within when it doesn't have to take a day of learning. So maybe we'll get that when we get to Saturday scrimmage. But we haven't really had a lot of 11-on-11 full live work. Yesterday was the first time that we actually got that done, and we did some tackling drills and things like that, so that were live. It was good to get the guys kind of bruised up a little bit and get ready for a season.
Would you like to name a starter after the scrimmage?
If one emerges, yeah. I'd like to name a starter as soon as we can. But until that happens, we're going to keep working on everyone getting better.
How are you keeping the guys from picking sides in this quarterback battle?
They don't pick sides. They want to win, and they want to play at their best. And so it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. It's not like the O-line is wondering who's the guy that's throwing the ball or calling the plays behind them. They just have to be ready for anybody. Tom Brady shows up and plays for us. I'd like to see them play their best no matter who's playing the quarterback position. So, but I do think they're all improving and they're all getting better. And specifically with Gary and Jake, they're doing a great job. So we've been through quarterback battles before. We've handled them before, and we've had guys win them before. We've had it decided early, and we've had it extend all the way to game week. So we're not new to this stuff.
I know last year at times you had trouble establishing the run game like you guys wanted to. With that in mind, what kind of progression have you seen from the running backs in fall camp, and where do you feel like they're at in terms of their game? And
running backs are going to be fine. I think LJ and Miles and Hinckley are the guys that have the most experience. But you're starting to see some younger guys starting to emerge as well, like Pokai and Sione doing a great job. And Enoch Nawahine is there too. So it's a full room, and we have capable guys. It's just a matter of getting the guys ready and making sure they know the offense. But I don't know if you want to have guys just like this running back runs this style. I'd like to see more game ready from all three. I think in the past we've used Miles for certain type of plays. I think he's more ready now to handle first, second, and third down type situations. And I think Hinckley's headed that way too, and I know LJ's already been there. So we've been able to have three really stable guys, and we plan on having them, utilizing them all. But the bulk of the reps will come from those three guys. We'll still have a plan for the other guys as well.
From the end of spring ball to now, have you lost any players for the season due to injury that are season enders?
No. No.
Coach, have you given Ben Bywater?
And we've been pretty physical too.
Any responsibilities post-announcement, coaching, cheerleading front, anything like that?
Yeah, he's going to do all that stuff. He's always been a leader for us. He's been a captain for us and a leader for a couple of years now. So I don't know if I need to have a specific job for him, but he's always going to have a place here in our program.
Is Ethan Erickson running with the ones right now? Why do you think he kind of fell out of the mix last year?
I think he was battling with some injury last year, and it was kind of like hot and cold, and it was a week to week, and it wasn't like a season-ending thing, so it was just a matter of if he was going to be ready or not. And I think the guys are really healthy now, and Coach Gilbride's done a great job rotating them and getting them the best looks. And I think we were a little bit predictable maybe with the tight ends last year, and now those guys are all, I think they're, like I mentioned with the running backs, I think they're all ready to play regardless of the down and distance and the situation. So Ethan's done a great job for us. And he has a lot of experience, and he's a big body, and he's athletic, so he fits the room perfectly. But there's a lot of guys in that room that can play that position.
Last year there were some questions with the kicking game and special teams. Compared to last year, how do you feel about special teams this year?
I feel really good with Will Farron being the kicker, and then also with Matthias as his backup. And so we feel good with the place kicking with those guys. It's a question of the punter now and losing Rico, but we have that's why we went and got Sam to punt for us, and then he and Landon are going to be able to handle it. So we have snappers with Dalton Riggs and Skidmore that's here. So there's some depth there. There's probably more experience in the place kicking than there is in the punting game, but I feel comfortable with all of it, whether it's a snap, hold, punt, or kick.
How was the implementation of the Surface tablets this week? How's that been going?
That's been so helpful, and then being able to have the guys, come off the field, and normally we'd have to, hey, on play 2 you did this. Now it's just go watch it, and then they'll go watch it and they'll see it, and then they'll come and tell us, yeah, I saw what I did. It's nice when you can teach yourself and see it from film. So that's been, technology, it makes a lot of sense for us to use it, and I think it's been super helpful in terms of the guys grasping the scheme a lot quicker, and it's also allowed us to move faster with the scheme and the time that we've been able to have with the guys in player run practices. So we're way further ahead in terms of install and where we're at. But I would imagine that every team is saying that right now too.
To follow up on just that moving faster, analysts can now be hands-on. How has that helped, seeing all these analysts here? How has that helped in installing, being near installation?
It helps if you're all speaking the same language and saying the same things, and that's what we have. I mean, the analysts are guys that have been in the system and been around, and so whether it's Chad or Gary or others that are involved, we're all under. It would be different if we had to teach each other. Jay says it, we speak it, talk about it, and we go and teach. And so now there's a bunch of teachers on the field with technology like the tablets. And so really the learning has taken off, and it's been a skyrocket in terms of the learning and them grasping it and making change right away. I mean, those of you guys that play golf and stuff, you see you videotape yourself swinging, you can kind of know, like, yeah, that was horrible. And you don't. For me, I don't have to see the tablet. I already know it sucked. You know what I mean? When I top the ball and stuff like that. But you can look at the little details, and when you can see it in real time, literally 5 seconds later, you come off the field, you can see it on the screen. It's really cool.
I know it's only been about a week or so, but what have you noticed of Shea Bryan and the kind of the way he's acclimating and adapting to the new system and Provo and all that stuff?
He fits the program perfectly. That's a really talented group, the linebacker room, and so with Jack and him, and I mean, there's so many guys that can play Glasker and Ace and Sione Moa and Ice Moa is there, and so Miles Hall. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. I'm throwing a bunch of names. I'm leaving some people out. But there's a lot of guys that can play there, and it's a talented group. So we'll be able to rotate. We feel comfortable with the guys that are there and play fresh. But I don't think guys like Jack and Harris and those guys, Harrison really want to come off the field. So they got to get in better shape. So we'll see how it goes in the next couple of weeks, if they can handle 70 plays or if they can just only handle 50. But we do know that if we need to, we have a lot of depth there, a lot of talent.
How deep do you go along the defensive line right now? Like how many guys do you feel like could play week one, be game ready?
Well, we need to get at least 2.5 for this defense and for the stuff that we look at. And then it's just a matter of if we have 3 or 4 deep, great. But you want to be able to get 2.5 in the rotation.
Who's stepping forward at the defensive tackle position?
Well, I think Luke's done some great things. Josh Singh's done some good things. But David Latu stepped up too. JT has done some really good things. Sione is really working really well with all those guys, and Gary's in the room with them too. So there's a bunch of guys that can play there. And there's a lot of there's some flexibility and versatility that we can use with the other guys too. So with the DNs and the D tackles, I think you guys have seen the sub packages that this defense can do, and we're right in alignment with what other teams have done in the past with this style D.
Do you think that defensive line can put pressure on the quarterback?
They have no choice. They have to do it. We need it. And part of that is get a lead, make teams throw the ball on us, win first and second down. So you put them in a third down situation where they have to put the ball in the air, or be happy to be conservative and punt the ball. And so when we put ourselves in that position, you get more sacks when you get more leads, and you get more leads when the offense is clicking and you can be complimentary. But you also need to look at people that can do it for you, and that's why we have guys like Isaiah Bagnall. That's why we have Ephraim Asiata, and that's why we have Jack Kelly and others that can come in here and help us do that. But also, there's some guys that developed along the way that I think they're going to be able to help us in the pass rush. There's a bunch of variables that go into it. One part is get the talent. We felt like we did that, developed it. We felt like we did that, and then now we got to play football so we can get teams to throw the ball on us and get some turnovers and some sacks.
You do have the talent, the physical talent to get it done.
Yeah, well, we added pieces and we changed some things and developed some guys. So it's not like we thought we had the answer last year. So we've made adjustments, and I think we've done the right things in terms of all of the different variables that go into it. So I imagine and I anticipate us doing better this year.
Kalani, actually, I just wanted to ask one more thing. Tonight is the kickoff, just the importance of interacting with the fans.
Yeah, I think it's more important. I mean, more than anything, it's going to be the players are going to be interacting with the fans. I think the coaches are going to be working. As much as I'd like to be out there
So you'll be working then?
Yeah, I mean, I think me and the coaches will be working, but I think there'll be some time that maybe we can get out there and see them. But I think more importantly is get the fans around our players. And there's some new guys here that want to meet our fans, and I know our fans want to meet them. And then we'll see how that goes. But we're trying to get ready for the scrimmage on Saturday. So there's a lot of work that can be done when the players are out signing autographs, and I think our staff's going to be probably doing that.
All right, there's Kalani Sitake. When we come back, what is trending? All the headlines are next.